to join us. My name is Nina Miller-Browne, and I hope that you'll find this information useful and helpful. Whether this is your first time buying a home, or you're an experienced home buyer, or you intend on buying a home in the future. There's a lot of information that we're trying to cover tonight, so in a short amount of time. If you have any questions, please save your questions for the Q&A section. If we don't get an opportunity to answer all your questions, you will actually have the information for all the presenters that are going to be presenting tonight, and you can reach out to them individually. Also, you can, sorry about that. Also, I will send this presentation out to everyone. Whoever needs a presentation, please send me an email at Nina at K as in King, R as in Roger, G as in Great, KRG, Boston.com. You can either text me, call me, Instagram, tweet me, or Facebook me. If you need this information, please, after the call is over, let me know, and I will send you the PowerPoint presentation along with the recording that we're doing right now. The presenters that we have tonight we have mortgage lenders on the phone. We also have a closing attorney, a home
I'm here, Nina.
Okay, can you hear me?
I can, yes. Joe Anderson, the closing attorney. I thought I'd just say hi.
Oh, hi. I'm just going over the introduction right now, the welcome. Thank you for calling in, Joe. And we have a broker. What we're going to be covering tonight is we're going to do an overview of the home buying process and why it is beneficial for a buyer to have a realtor. We're going to be doing an overview of the financing and the steps that are involved and the closing process, what's involved in the closing process, and why it's important to have an inspector. This is all overview, and we can get you additional information. As a realtor, my mission is to make sure that this home buying process is personalized and that I'm providing services to the buyer. My goal is to make sure that this experience is simple and efficient for the buyer. And in Massachusetts, and I think in other states, but I can only speak on Massachusetts right now, realtor service is 100% free for all buyers. The seller is the person that actually pays for the services. And because the realtor is looking out for your best interest, they're working on your behalf, streamlining the process and make sure that all the forms, financing, negotiating, inspection, pricing, and more is taken care of. This is a big investment for you. And so if you're going to put the amount of money that you put into finding a home, it is very important for you to make sure that there's somebody out there working on your behalf, especially if you're not paying a fee for that service. So with that said, I'm going to turn the presentation over to Curtis Key and have him go over the section of the broker section. So Curtis, can you hear me?
I can. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Real quick, Nina, I sent you a message regarding Mike and see if we can't kind of help him on the backside get logged in. Yeah, great, guys. So I appreciate everybody coming out and sharing the evening with us tonight. Myself, I've been in residential real estate here in the Boston area for about 7 years now. Originally from Virginia Beach, and moved up to, kind of further my real estate career. One of the things that's been great in Boston is that, we do a lot of transactions. We do. There's a lot of energy with a lot of transactions. It is a very competitive market. And not only is it difficult to enter the market sometimes from a price standpoint, but it can be difficult to enter the market from finding the right inventory, finding properties that match exactly what a client's looking for, and also negotiating the deal and actually winning the deal. I'm sure that if you've read through any kind of publications or Boston Magazine or anything like that, you read about these stories about properties going for X amount of dollars over ask, and selling in 2 weeks to all cash, no contingencies, and it's these things happen, and it is a very very competitive market. And for me, one of my most important things that I really focus on as a broker working with my client is first thing I do is I always sit down and have a buyer's consultation with them. And oftentimes, unless it's a relationship, a referral, or a relationship of mine, a lot of times what I find is that like somebody reaching out about a property, a new phone call, I take it, and they have a couple of questions about a property they saw online, and while I get it, there's Zillow and Trulia and Realtor.com, and there's a ton of sites out there. For as an agent, as a broker, someone who's connected in the market, not just seeing the properties that are existing on MLS, but seeing the properties that are off market, that are going to be properties that are coming to market that aren't out yet, and kind of knowing, having a really close barometer on the pulse of the market. It's very important for me. The very first thing that I do is I get my buyer to do a consultation with them. And I know that oftentimes buyers, the first thing they want to do is just bust out and go start looking at property. But one of the things that we need to do beforehand is to get prepared. And one of the ways that it's going to help me prepare from the search perspective is understanding exactly what you're looking for. Because say you're looking at properties in downtown Boston, and say that maybe you have a dog, and you find this property that's just absolutely perfect. It's a condo, and it checks off all the boxes, and everything looks perfect, and you're ready to run out and go see it. But someone like myself who's trained to look at every single detail is going to be able to look very quickly and determine whether or not that condo association is going to accept the dog. And if they don't, there's not even any no sense in even looking at the property. So one of the first things that I want to do is I want to make sure that I understand everything about what you're looking for, and just kind of asking all the questions that really, again, like what we're saying here, is that you didn't even know that you even had. Kind of understanding things that, even from a standpoint of, I want a certain amount of square footage. Well, a great broker is not going to stop and just say, okay, good, 1,000 square foot, great. They're going to ask why. Well, why? Well, we use the space for this and that, or this is what our family looks like, or we like to have friends over, or this is kind of how we use our space. These things become important because the why behind the question is really more important than just numbers on a page, because we know that 1,000 square feet can feel ginormous, or it can feel not very big at all. So the other things that what we're going to discuss is kind of how we're going to find the properties. Obviously, we have access to MLS. We have access to with our network of brokers, that we know what properties are coming on market before they even go live. We've got off-market properties. We get hit with lists from properties from all kinds of different brokers and property managers and those sort of people that are bringing new listings to market that aren't live yet. And basically at that point, my job is to go through those after having a good kind of concentrated meeting with you as the buyer, having that consultation. And now I'm able to kind of go through that inventory and hand select the top 5 properties, top 3 to 5 properties that are going to really be the absolute best bet. Because at the end of the day, my job is not only just to find the property, but it's to make the best use of your time and to clear the path to finding actually the perfect properties out there. Because if it's kind of a situation of browsing, sites like Zillow are great solutions for that. Using a skilled buyer's rep in this market, these are guys that are going to be able to show you 3 to 5 great properties that should really work well and shouldn't be wasting your time. You should really be listening to the things that really make you tick when it comes to what you're looking for. And on those showings, lastly, we kind of mentioned here that one of the things that is really helpful with having a buyer rep with you is that as they're standing in the property and actually going to the showing with you. Now, I hear this all the time where, the buyer rep will send the client to an open house or something without them, and it just really kind of blows me away, because for me it's super important to be in the property with the client, because I'm in dozens of properties every single week, and I can stand in a unit in a certain neighborhood and get a look and a feel and a vibe for, is the quality of the property standing up, is it comparable to, properties that are being offered at the same price, those kinds of things. So can we actually bump that back? Yep, right there, last one here. So the kind of once we kind of land into that property, and kind of find one that really makes the most amount of sense. Then it's not a matter of just liking the property. Now we actually have to get the property. And again, the bottom line is that there's 586,000 people in the city. There's about 342,000 units as of a couple of years ago. I know the numbers have changed recently, but it can be very difficult to actually to get a winning bid. So one of the biggest things for when we actually get into negotiating an offer is establishing what we feel like the property is worth. So we do that through coming up with a CMA, which is a comparative market analysis, where we take comparable properties, not what they're being asked for, but what they actually sold for, and kind of finding properties that are actually going to work well together, and that share similar features, that are offered at similar qualities, fit and finish, and kind of average that price out and then apply it to our property. And we determining that right price, and then figuring out a strategy for what the right bid is going to be, whether it be under or over, depending on the market conditions at the time, and finding out the right terms. And that's something that kind of skilled buyer's agent is going to be able to kind of having these loose kind of conversations with the selling agents, kind of understanding what makes the seller tick. So more than just price, but more importantly, terms, closing speed, mortgage conditions, inspection conditions, what's going to make the seller tick. And then at that point, that's when we kind of get you passed off and working with your lender to establish that financing. We typically get the pre-approval done at the buyer consultation all the way at the beginning. But now, once we kind of landed this offer, that's when the time starts to tick, and you start working more closely with that lender, who's going to be able to get your loan application moving and get you qualified for the loan.
All right. Hi, Curtis. Thank you so much. We're just trying to keep on the calendar, so I'm going to ask Matt to do his presentation next. Matt, are you ready to go? Matt, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. How are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Perfect. My name is Matthew Atea. I work for Residential Mortgage Services. I work out of our Boston office. I've been in the business for 14 years now. Prior to joining Residential Mortgage Services, I worked for a larger bank. One of my biggest concerns with there was everything was done out of state. From an underwriting, processing, closing, everything was done out of state. So it was a challenge at times to get, from point A to point B, given the fact that there was, really no local rapport being built with the team. So I joined RMS 6 years ago, and basically just given the time constraints, what I will say is at any point post-call, anybody that's on this conference call right now can always reach out to me directly, whether it's text message, phone, email. I'm available all the time. So I'm going to give a quick overview of the process itself right now, and then going forward at any point, we can set a time to speak separately and kind of, customize, or I can answer any general questions that you may have. So the agenda for now will just be a quick overview of residential mortgage services, the pre-qualification process, how credit affects buyers, the purchase process as a whole, and then the RMS financing options. I don't have, if you guys could actually I'm having an issue with my computer, so if you could just move to the next screen where it mentioned about RMS. So Residential Mortgage Services has been around since 1991. It was founded in South Portland, Maine, and now we have offices in all of Maine, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, Rhode Island, New York, and we are licensed in other states as well. We're a direct lender. What I mean by that is we work with 12 to 15 different investors. What does that mean from a consumer perspective? It means that we're able to locate a loan that fits your criteria, but at the same time being very competitive from a rate perspective. We have an eye on purchases. This shows that as in 2016, we funded $3.8 billion in volume and over 17,000 loans closed. Given in 2018, given the fact that rates have been on the rise, everything has turned more so into a purchase-driven market. So I believe this year, currently we're at about $3.3 billion, and our purchase transactions are about 92%. So Residential Mortgage Services, I mentioned before, we're a direct lender. Everything funds in our name. The beauty of this process is that we work with several different investors to see who's offering the most competitive rate. Now, the biggest perk of working with Residential Mortgage Services would be that everything is local. So everything is done locally. We're delegated with all of these investors. So with a broker, they may look to see who's offering the most competitive rate. But what happens with that is they would then have to send your loan file to that specific institution to have it underwritten. That's where the problems can arise, because at times there may not be any rapport built, there may be lack of communication, and it can make the process, what should be a seamless process, a little bit more bumpy. So I have a processor that I work with specifically, and then 2 underwriters. So these are underwriters that I'm working with every single day. They're either in the office or they work remote. So point being is any questions that come up, any questions that I have initially, I'm reaching out to them directly, and we're getting responses quickly. A lot of clients that I've worked with over the years have been clients that I've worked with on their initial property, whether they were single at the time and they were buying in the city. Fast forward, they're starting the next chapter in their lives, and they're starting to move outside the city. So for me, everything is relationship-based. So I'll give you just a quick, understanding of the pre-qualification process along with the credit itself, and then we'll kind of fast forward into, when you would initially speak with me. So the pre-qualification process, also known as the pre-approval process, would be if you had reached out to me initially and you wanted to get a better sense of what your options were. And I'll go a little bit further into this in just a second. At that point, we're also going to pull a credit report, and we'll go over your 3 scores with TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. Ultimately, credit comes into play. But again, I'll touch upon this in just a second. So the purchase process itself, let's just say Nina or Curtis had referred you my way. You send me an email and you're interested in getting pre-approved. What I initially will do is direct you to my online portal to start the application. What I then do is I'll have you respond to my email. I have a couple questions that I ask up front. The last thing I want to do is have you go through an application process and for me to say, you're pre-approved for this number. It doesn't really help you out in the sense where, okay, great, well, what's my rate, what's my payment, how does this all play into it? So I ask a couple of general questions up front. What's your price range? What is your down payment? Where are you looking, for property tax purposes? What type of property, multifamily, condo, single family? And then the most important question is, what is your ideal comfort level regarding a payment, including taxes and insurance and or taxes and condo fee? Now, the answer to these questions doesn't necessarily have to be a specific number, 500,000, 20% down, single family, Boston, Massachusetts, ideal payment, $3,000. The point of this exercise initially is to have it be a range. You're not necessarily sure. You're not sure of where the rates are. You have an idea of what your payment comfort level may be. I use an Excel spreadsheet initially because if you come to me and say, well, my price range is between $400,000 and $600,000, I think, I have maybe 3 to 15% to put down. Ideally, I'm looking for a single family. I'm looking in these 2 or 3 specific towns, and my comfort level regarding total mortgage payment is $2,500 to $2,800. Perfect. Going through this initial process will allow for me to put together a nice closing estimate, side-by-side comparison. I use an Excel spreadsheet up front just because it's not super formal, it's user-friendly. Point of this exercise initially is to just kind of figure out what your comfort level is and what range you should be focused on. Once that's done, we would then collect your income documentation, 2 months bank statements, 2 months, 2 years tax returns, 2 years W-2s, 2 years pay stubs. Again, if any of you have any questions going forward, if you'd like for me to send you a checklist, I can do so. Once that information is sent to me, the pre-approval is issued. It's going to be valid for 120 days. And let me back up for 1 second. We'll pull your credit report as well. One of the perks of the credit report process itself is it's going to generate what your 3 scores are. We're going to go with the median score. However, if anybody has any questions or concerns about their credit, maybe they had a blemish or there was something that was on there that they were a little bit concerned about. Once we pull your credit report, on the back of it, one of the nice things about it is with the credit provider we work with, it's going to give us some suggestions in terms of how to get your scores up in the short term. So if I look at your credit report and I see that there may be some room for improvement, which will in turn help you from a rate perspective, I may offer up that suggestion, and I can let you know exactly what will have to be done to get the scores up. Now, this doesn't take 2 or 3 months. If let's say a credit card needs to be paid down or paid off, your credit can be updated within 48 to 72 hours. So the process is really good. Once the pre-approval is in fact issued, I'd encourage you, given the market that we're in, to send me any properties of interest going forward. The point being is before you go to an open house with Nina or Curtis going forward, you want to be in a position where you've already seen the numbers. You have a better sense of what the payment's going to look like. Now, this past spring and summer, it was super competitive, and you're running into situations where everything was going above asking price. So in this scenario, what we may look at is if it's listed for one price point, we may go up slightly on the purchase price, just to give you a sense of, okay, this is well within my means. I'm comfortable with my payment. I include the taxes, the insurance. We do a closing estimate, so on and so forth. The reason why we do this is that if you go to an open house on a Saturday and Sunday, you look around, there may be a bunch of people there, and you're concerned that there's going to be offers going in. Well, you've already done your homework. You're comfortable. You have a better sense of what the payment's looking like, what your down payment's going to look like, and you can feel confident submitting the offer itself. Now, it is super competitive, so it doesn't mean that the first offer that you're going to put in is going to be accepted. So this is an ongoing process where people are emailing me, calling me, or texting me, here's the property I'm going to see, would you mind running some numbers? I encourage it because we want you to feel comfortable without going through the entire process itself. Once your offer is in fact accepted, the next step to this whole process would be for me to send you a revised needs list of what we may need. Maybe we need updated bank statements, or we need a copy of your driver's license, so on and so forth. That process is pretty smooth. The home inspection, which that'll be the next phase of this. Once the home inspection is in fact done, me personally, I'd like to submit your loan right there because there's usually a gap between when the home inspection is completed to when the purchase and sale is signed. And, as long as there's nothing structurally wrong with the property, we would go ahead and get your loan in front of an underwriter and get it underwritten. Once the purchase and sale is signed, we would then order the title, just to do a title search, which again will be in the next phase of this conference call, and we would order the appraisal. So as those items, the title's being ordered, the appraisal is being done, underwriting is, underwriting your file. If we submit it the right way and we're prepared and we have everything organized, the underwriter will approve your file contingent upon clean title, the appraisal, your purchase and sale, and then showing that the earnest money checks, usually at the signing of your offer, you may put up $1,000, and at the signing of your purchase and sale, you put up 5%. That number may vary, but that's just an example. So once your loan's initially approved and we have these remaining items that come into play, title, appraisal, purchase and sale, once all of those items are signed off, your loan is officially clear to close. Once it's clear to close, I'll let everybody know, give everybody the good news, at which point your loan is assigned to our closing department, and they're preparing your closing disclosure. The closing disclosure essentially is going to mimic, it's going to be a more formal document to the Excel spreadsheet that I sent before. Ultimately, it's going to itemize your purchase price, your down payment, your loan amount, the terms of the loan, meaning the rate, the principal and interest payment, the taxes, the insurance, and then it'll give an itemization of the closing cost itself. So then at that point, it'll give you a bottom line figure that's going to be due at closing. Closing would be scheduled, and then obviously you're the new owner of that specific property. As I mentioned, I'm kind of, throwing this all in there, cramming it, if you will. Once we do initial one-on-one type of conversations, we would really kind of go a little bit further into dissecting it and really, answering all of your questions at a little bit slower speed. The next piece of this puzzle would be just a quick breakdown or a quick overview of the financing options. So we have conventional financing, which is just your Fannie and Freddie type scenarios. So that can be for a condo, single family, multifamily. One of the subsets that we do have is for first-time home buyers. So if there's first-time home buyers that are on this call, some of our options are as little as 3% down. So there's some really good programs that come into play. Again, it's not as simple as, I'm looking to buy a property and this is what I have for a down payment. There's a lot of different factors that come into it, whether it's credit driven, debt to income ratio driven. In some of these first time home buyer scenarios, there's income restrictions. So when we do an initial consultation, we're going to go through all of these. We're going to go over all of your options, and then ultimately you're going to make a decision on which one is right for you. I'm there to offer my advice and suggestions and so on and so forth. We offer seasonal second home options. So if you're buying a second home, whether it's a ski house or it's a Cape house, we offer that. We can get into the down payments going forward. You have FHA financing, which is a minimum of 3.5% down. That can be for condos, single family, or multifamily properties. If you find a property that maybe needs, it's a beautiful, you can see through the clutter, or it just needs some TLC, we do offer renovation loans. So if you find a property and you think that there's a good deal here, but you may need $40,000 or $50,000 to really get it to where you need it to be, instead of you coming up with those funds, we do have a renovation loan where you can actually finance that property. If you're a veteran, we do offer VA financing, which is a phenomenal product for obvious reasons. I do work with a lot of veterans. That is as a program where there's no money down. So it is a really good product. So if you're a veteran and you'd like to discuss that going forward, you can do so. USDA is rural financing. This is a little bit different because it's specific on the location. It may be something that we discuss, but it depending on where you're looking, it may qualify or it may not. As I just mentioned, no money down financing. There are some options that do have income restrictions, so we can look into that if you're looking to do a no money down option. So once we go through the initial consultation and you fill out the application and you answer those questions, essentially all I'm doing is I'm taking your overall credit profile and we're cross-referencing it with all of your options. The spreadsheet, this seems very overwhelming, but when you look at the spreadsheet with me together, everything it's nice and clean, and it's much easier to read. We have state housing programs. Mass housing is a very popular option for first-time home buyers. That allows for 3% down on single families and on condos, 5% down minimum for multifamilies. Jumbo loans is another product that we do offer. So that usually gets into a little bit higher price points. So anything over a loan amount of $453,100 would be considered qualifying for a jumbo. With jumbo loans or non-conforming, they're also referred to, it's a little bit more specific to the investor. They have certain overlays where they may require reserves or they may require, a certain amount of money for a down payment. So again, these are all of the different scenarios that we're going to look at. Reverse mortgages, that's usually, I don't offer those. If that's something that you're interested in, I would be able to point you in the right direction. I don't think anybody on this call would be in the need of a reverse mortgage right now. We'll also get into amortization schedules. So you may hear 30-year fixed. You may hear adjustable rate. These are the questions that I'll ask you because, again, part of the consultation is to find out, well, how long do you see yourself in the property? Is this a 2-year timeline? Is this a 5-year timeline? Is this long-term? I can then offer up some suggestions as to what I think may be a good fit for you from a loan type. Because if you intend to live in the property for 2 or 3 years and you may be relocating to work, you may not want to go into a 30-year fixed because you may want to go into a shorter type of loan and it's still amortized over a 30-year time frame. It's just the rate's going to be a little bit lower, and that's something that we can also discuss going forward. From an occupancy type, we do owner-occupied, second home, investor properties. We can do 1-unit, 2-family, 3-family, 4-family. Anything above a 4-family is considered commercial. If you're concerned that let's say you're starting a new position and it has a commission component or it has a bonus component, but right now you're just on salary and you know that you're not going to have any issues making the payment, maybe you're going to have a roommate or whatever the case may be, there are situations where you could, you can have a non-occupant co-signer on the mortgage as well. So again, a lot of this, it's tough to, I love doing these seminars to give an overview, but I think you'll see added value at any point post-call where you can email me and we can set up a one-on-one consultation, and I can really give you a better sense of what your options may be going forward. And I look forward to that as well. That's just a quick, I know it was long-winded and it was kind of rushed to a certain degree, but that's just kind of a crash course in terms of the financing piece. And obviously, on the Q&A section of this call, I'd be more than happy to answer any questions. I think Mike will be up next for the home inspection.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Matt. That was very interesting, and it was very valuable information. Now, I have 32 people on this call, and I don't have all your information. So if it's possible and you need this presentation, please just let me know you're on the call. You need the information. The PowerPoint presentation is already ready to go, and I can also get you the recording of this WebEx. So please reach out to me as soon as possible, and I'll get information to you, okay? Joe, you are up next.
My name is Joe Anderson. I'm a closing attorney. Being a closing attorney has been my first job, my only job since 2001. So I have 18 years of helping buyers buy homes, sellers sell homes, and assisting those same clients with their refinances. That's all for good or for bad. If you ask me to fix something inside my house beyond changing a light bulb or you need help with your personal injury case, I am pretty much completely useless. But if it's a real estate transaction, that is entirely and just perfectly within my sweet spot. If you want some personal background on me, I graduated from Boston College High School, Wake Forest University, and Seton Hall Law School. Got a 4-year-old son and twin girls who are 2 years old. I'm a marathon runner, so that kind of tells you I have some discipline and determination. So my law firm, Crowley & Cummings, what can we do for you? Let's see. You end up with one highly experienced attorney contact and their cell phone number. They're available weekdays, weekends, holidays, morning, noon, and night. You're not some other law firms, you're passed off to 6 other people or an attorney that just graduated last week. where you get the partner of the law firm that's been around forever, but he takes 6 days to call you back, and he only schedules your purchase at noon in his office. The lawyers at Crowley & Cummings, they've been around long enough to be experienced with closings and the potential issues that arise therefrom, but we're also young and energetic enough to make your closing fast, efficient, and convenient with outside-of-the-box creative ideas. Some of the other things we do, we tentatively schedule your closing time and location right after your purchase and sale agreement signed and not 5 minutes before the closing. Our law firm is probably the most flexible and convenient law firm out there as far as the scheduling. If needed, we can close early in the morning, late at night. We can bifurcate the closing into 2 parts so that you close at your home in the morning and then meet with the seller later in the day at the Registry of Deeds. I have one client that buys an investment property in Cambridge every single year, and every year we do the same routine. I close him and his wife at their Brookline home at roughly 7 a.m., and then I meet with the seller later at the Cambridge Registry of Deeds at noon and record the deed and other documents. This guy is a busy, affluent professional. He doesn't want to waste his day driving to the Registry of Deeds, but we offer the same exceptional service to all of our buyers. Also, just immediately after the purchase and sale agreement signed, we provide an estimate of funds you'll need at the closing. So you have your certified funds ready to go before the closing. One of the coolest things we have is we have $0 buyer rep fee. It's a flat fee. The fee is $0. I don't know why the hell you wouldn't take advantage of that. We have clients that talk our ears off and call us every single day. We have other clients who exchange 4 emails with us, and that's it. And we have everything in between within that spectrum as far as communication. It's all up to your own personal preference. By giving you our cell phone number and letting you know you can call anytime, all the time, we know on our end that your concerns and questions will be raised by you at your discretion and convenience and answered appropriately in a timely fashion. And let's see how much time I'm on. Man, I'm already at 8:40. Our law firm could not be, I'll end this soon, our law firm could not be better at handling condo transactions. Just skipping ahead here, we tend to get the title search back and reviewed by an attorney quicker than most other law firms out there. We're whizzes at drafting and negotiating purchase and sale agreements. Get a free homestead for all you first-time home buyers. You can only throw that on your primary residence. It costs $35 to record the thing. It protects up to $500,000 of equity in your newly purchased home. If you're a first-time home buyer, we can get a 10% discount on your title insurance. New hot topic. We can. No one used to care before, but everybody cares now if the property's in a flood zone. We can check in about 2 hours and let you know if you're going to need to buy flood insurance. And lastly, we just want to be your one-stop shop for everything. Like if you need a good realtor, a good mortgage company, I think I can recommend some. And we also know like good movers, insurance agents, electricians, estate planners. So that's all I got for today. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you very much, Joe. Mike is up next. Mike, are you ready to go? Mike, are you still there? Mike? Are you on mute? Hello?
Hello?
Mike, I can hear you now. All right, are you ready?
How's that? Is that better?
Much better. So Mike is our inspector. Mike, why don't you go ahead and let everyone know why it's important for them to have a home inspection.
Thank you very much. So my name is Michael Licari, and I'm from B Shore Home Inspection. So a little background with B Shore. We are a family-owned and operated company. We've been in business for 20 years. As a company, between myself and my father, we've done over 20,000 inspections in the Boston area. We do specialize in the Boston area. We go as far north as Haverhill and as far south as Plymouth and as far west as Worcester. So basically everywhere in Massachusetts. So that's a little bit about us. Home inspections. People always ask, what is a home inspection and why do I need a home inspection? So why you need a home inspection, the easiest way to describe it is it's peace of mind. You're getting peace of mind for the single most important purchase of your life. Now, what that really means is, what is the home inspection? So for us, when we do the home inspection, we go through the entire property for you. Every single square inch that we can get access to, we're going to go in there. So we're checking all of your doors, all of your outlets, all of your appliances, your water pressure. We're checking your main electrical disconnects. So we're going to go in there. We're going to open up all of your electrical panels. We'll identify if there's any issues inside of it. We'll let you know what style wiring you have. Is it Romex? Is it BX? If you watch HGTV, you probably hear a lot about knob and tube wiring. We'll let you know if you do have that. If you do, how much you do have. That way you can get an electrician out there to get an estimate on how much it is to remove. We're also going to go through all of your plumbing systems. So we'll show you where your main water shutoff is. We'll let you know what that material is. Is it copper, lead, galvanized steel? We'll let you know where your water heater is. And I'll also show you how to adjust the water temperature. So if you do like really, really hot showers, we can show you how to turn that shower up. Or if you do have little kids in the house, we'll show you how to turn the water temperature down. That way it doesn't get too close to scalding temperatures. Other things throughout the property we're going to check is the basement and overall structure of the home. That way, when you come back from the closing, you can guarantee that the house isn't going to fall down on you the next day. Big things in basement is just water infiltration. So as we're walking around the property, we're checking for grading, drainage, making sure all your gutters and downspouts exit away from your foundation as much as possible. And when we do enter the basement, we'll look to see if we see any signs of seepage. And if we do see signs of seepage, then we can make the appropriate recommendations on how to remediate the issue. So as we go through the home inspection, I highly encourage everybody to follow me around the entire time. Ask as many questions as you have. That way we can have a conversation, we can talk, I can explain things to you. And you really want to use this as a learning process and a learning tool for a how-to for home ownership. So with our inspections, it's a full comprehensive inspection, and we have tablets. We take pictures of everything. We fully document everything that we talk about. That way you don't have to worry about taking any notes. You don't have to take any pictures. We'll fully take pictures of the entire property for you. So that's really a blast of what a home inspection is. I know it's probably a lot of information to digest in this 1 hour with the mortgage lenders, the attorneys, real estate agents, and myself. But I'm definitely going to be around for the question and answer section. And also, as a side note, if you do have any questions throughout your walkthroughs, if you go to an open house, I'll give you everyone here my cell phone. If you have a question on something that you see, you can always take a picture of it and text it over to me, and then I'll give you a little thumbs up or a thumbs down if it looks good or not so good. But I believe that's everything.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mike. I appreciate you being on the call. Okay, so we're going to open up the call for questions and answers now. So if you have any questions, this is a great time for you to go ahead and ask them. Anyone?
I got a quick question. It's in reference to HELOCs. Can you hear me?
Yes. Who am I speaking to, please?
Ken Ross.
Hi, Ken. How are you? I think this question is for Matt, is it?
Yes, I can answer that question. What can I answer for you?
Yeah, I've done a little research on HELOC, looked it up online, and somewhat how it's used, best way to use it. I'm curious as to a little feedback from you as your opinion as far as utilizing that to expedite your payoff process.
Expedite the sales process. So
No.
what you're saying is...
Not the sales.
I'm sorry.
Okay. I've been at my place for 26 years, okay, and I've made a lot of mistakes. However, unfortunately, that's the way of life sometimes. We live and learn. Now I did some research and I came across HELOC, the home equity line of credit. And I don't know if it's beneficial I went to take one out, but I guess it would have been better had I. This way, I didn't get hit twice with it gets hit on my credit twice because I didn't do it initially. Now, do you recommend doing that during the initial mortgage process?
It is an option, yeah. So I mean, right now it is. A lot of questions that I get would be somebody owns our current residence and they are looking to purchase a new residence, and ideally they are either going to hold on to that property or they are looking to purchase a property non-contingent upon the sale of their current residence. So they may take out an equity line in the interim where they're going to pull the down payment from that equity line and in turn use that for the new purchase. Now, the piece of the puzzle that comes into play would be on our end, we're going to mainly from a conservative standpoint qualify you on carrying both notes if need be. If you can go that route, then post-closing, you may get into the new property and then list your existing property for sale. Equity lines are a great product for a variety of reasons. If you do purchase a property, an equity line is basically taking equity from your home. So if you have a property, let's say you owe $200,000 on it and it's valued at $500,000, you may look into taking out an equity line for, I'm using just an example, $100,000. Now, the misconception is that you're pulling $100,000 out right away and you're paying interest on it. That isn't the case. You can actually, for a very minimal cost, take out an equity line and not disperse on it. So essentially what it is you're having, you're able to have funds available at your disposal should anything come up. If there's home improvements that are needed, or if there's an unforeseen issue where you need access to quick funds, you have it. So it is a pretty good product to have. And if you have any questions about that in general, like equity lines or, again, any mortgage-related questions, you can always reach out to me. And if you, Nina, are you going to be providing all of our contact information?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I'm going to send out a package for whoever needs it, and it's going to have your email and your cell phone number and the company you work for. You know the presentation I sent you and the page
Excellent.
that you're on have all that information. So anyone that needs the information, please just send me the email to send it to, and I'll shoot it out to you. Okay?
Nina, it's Donna Haynes from People's Bank.
Hi,
I only want to mention something I just heard. With the HELOCs, right? If somebody is actually going to take a line of credit out and they're going to use it to purchase, they usually don't get costs when they're taking that out. But if they are going to be getting rid of that house, they're going to actually have to pay for whatever fees they incur. Usually, most of the times there's no fees incurred, but because they're using it in that way and they might be getting rid of that house if they don't keep it, they will incur, whatever appraisal fees or whatever it is that the bank did to issue that line of credit, the home equity line of credit.
Correct. It would be on a case-by-case basis, obviously. So these are the consultation that we would have. I mean, everything, it's right now it's kind of a broad scope. So if people do have questions on on a one-on-one level, there's certain things that have to, come into play. We personally don't do equity lines. I'll typically refer them out. And that, the initial consultation would go through a different, lender that I work with specifically because their rates are attractive and time constraints and so on and so forth. But yes, you're 100% valid on if there's a small termination fee that's associated with it. It does come into play, too, where some lenders, they're not necessarily in the business to write short-term loans. So it's going to be on a case-by-case basis, and then it's very important to see if there's going to be any termination fees that would come into play.
Okay, thank you, guys. Is there any additional questions that we can get in before the session ends? Anyone?
Well, in lieu of any questions, Lena, I just want to say thank you so much for inviting me to this. It was very informative, and I appreciate all the presenters.
Is this Mike?
Thank you.
Okay.
That was Lena.
Okay. Oh, hey, Lena, how are you?
Doing well, thanks.
Good. Thank you. So, guys, not only would I appreciate it if you guys let me know if you need a presentation and I can send it out to you, but I would appreciate it if you give me some feedback on how you think this webinar went. This is the first time we're doing this, and if there's anything we can improve upon going forward, and if there's anything that you think that we should, any additional webinar that you think would be important that we should be presenting next, I would really appreciate your feedback. So I'm going to do another call to see if anyone has questions before we shut this down. We still have 6 minutes or so.
Nina, this is Georgia.
Georgia?
Sorry. Hi. I have a quick question.
Okay.
With concerns of the market, it being cheaper to purchase a home at the top of the market next year, if someone was interested in buying a house, would you suggest that they wait and see, what happens with the China and the U.S. Tariffs and everything else that President Trump is currently doing, to see if you can get a house at a discount next year, or would you suggest buying now? Because I think what the prices are kind of showing is kind of like a downward slope for homes. Like there seems to be a lot of inventory and concerns that the prices might drop next year.
That's a great question. Curtis, do you want to take that question?
Yeah, sure. I mean, at the end of the day, I always tell people, we always try to watch the market and try to figure out kind of, as much as we can, kind of what's coming down the road. But at the end of the day, none of us have a crystal ball. What I do know is that, we've had more inventory in the Boston area come on market this fall than we did this time last fall, which can be somewhat good for pricing for buyers. It just depends on how quickly we work through that inventory. And we do know that it will dwindle and that we'll see fewer and fewer homes come on market as we, approach and enter the winter time. And then, again, at that point, I always feel like as we kind of await that spring market, it's always a little bit of a mystery as to, how many homes we'll hit and what kind of demand we'll see. And that supply and demand right out of the gate kind of determines a lot for the remainder of the year. So, elections do tend to have a play in all financial markets. Interest rates also, have a play. I'm sure, Matt probably has the spec. I can't remember what it is. For every, 1%, it changes your buying power by, certain tens of thousands of dollars or whatever. And so all those small little percentage points and everything kind of matters when a buyer is kind of, trying to make a decision as to whether or not they want to enter the market and make a purchase, or, if what their buying power is will get them what they want. So, again, without a crystal ball, there's no definitive answers, but, we can just take a look at the data and kind of interpret it as we may.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for the question. We have 3 minutes before we close down. Again, send me your email if you need this presentation. Any additional questions for the next 3 minutes? No? Okay. I'd like to thank everyone for taking the time out of your busy day to attend this webinar. I hope you did take away something from it. And again, please provide some feedback. And if you need information, let me know what email to send it to, and I will get it to you as soon as possible. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thank you, Mina. Will do.
Bye.
Thank you all. Bye now. Bye.
Thank you.